Hello and welcome everyone to the live stream. I am your host, Kevinly Father, Kevin Williams. And today we're going to take a look. President Trump gave an interview this morning on Fox and Friends. I haven't watched it all yet. Good morning, everybody. If you'd like to be in the chat room, it's very easy. Just whatever platform you're on, chat. It's as simple as that. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy Hanukkah. We're in the middle of Hanukkah. Make sure you give everybody Hanukkah gifts. Happy Kwanzaa, whenever that is. Something else. What's the other one? Oh, Happy Festivus to the rest of us. But there's another one. Isn't there? What is fourth? Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, and the Buddhist celebration of lights. I don't know. If you celebrate another holiday out there, let me know. We need more holidays in this country, and President Trump, for the first time ever, did something really, really good. He's made Christmas Eve a federal holiday. So the postal workers, the banks, etc., that weren't already taking that day off, Christmas Eve now a holiday. Now, Boxing Day is next. Let's take a look here at the interview. We'll get right into it. If you're just joining us for the first time, this is what we do. We yell truth to power. I'm your host, Kevinly Father, blah, blah, blah. If you want to support this broadcast, go to kevinlyfather.com, become a patron. Just give me a little bit of money every week. Whether it's $1 a month, we call that the Dollar Shame Club, or a euro, or an Australian dollar, or 20,000 Australian dollars, which is the equivalent of 40,000 pesos. Whatever you can afford, we appreciate it. You can also PayPal me. You can Venmo me. At some point, we'll get you into the credits. So let's get going with this. We got a little bit of this to watch. And then there's a second section somewhere. We'll find that as well. I've only seen this first half, so let's watch this. Then we'll find the second half together.
To his campaign's legal challenges.
You're going to need to hear it as well. So I had to do a computer reboot right before this broadcast started because nothing was cooperating with me. So let's put it in your ears as well. Let me know if you can hear it.
Take a look.
So, Mr. President, the first sitting president to attend the Army-Navy game, Teddy Roosevelt, 1901. There's only been two other presidents that have shown up for an Army-Navy game, Truman and Bush. You're the third. Why are you here?
Well, I love football, but I love these two teams, and they're special, and they've been to the White House, and we've given them awards because, you know, it's always the Commander-in-Chief award. One of them's going to get it.
Right.
And I've had a lot of fun, and the coaches are terrific people.
You, of everything you accomplished, you took over a military that was cut by 25%.
Yeah.
That only had 3 brigades ready to fight and was out of bullets. What have you done?
The military was not out of bullets. That's just ridiculous to say so. You can buy bullets at Walmart. They're cheap. Or as the NRA calls them, freedom seeds.
In the 4 years since to change that?
Entirely rebuilt military like never before. New missiles and rockets and tanks and ships and planes. And we have the F-35s coming in by the hundreds, as you know. When I took over, we had a depleted military. We had no ammunition. I'll never forget a very
complete nonsense.
The overrated general coming to see me and saying, sir,
General Mattis, that's who he calls the overrated general now. General Mattis, who he made part of his cabinet, you know, that General Mattis.
We have no ammunition. I'm sorry. This is my first 2 days in office.
Right.
And I say no president should ever have to hear that, and no president should ever be spied on either, you know. So we said,
you know, because those are connected. No bullets, spied on. By the way, President Trump was spied on. Oh, Spygate happened. It was real. And that's exactly why Barack Obama will be in jail for the rest of his life. He's in jail right now. Right, guys? Is that, do we know? What? But Spygate, so, man, I don't understand this country.
A lot of records, but we have a totally rebuilt, and our nuclear is now tippy-top, and just hope to...
Hold on, everybody. The nuclear is tippy-top. That'll, you know... The folks over in Russia right now, I was going to do China, but I can't do the accent because that's racist for some reason. But the Russians, they're white, so I can do the Russian accent. Anyway, so they're over there and they're like, okay, here's a Russian accent. Hey, come on, man. We can't attack them because tippy top. I don't do accents in the morning. Well, I don't think. But this was a Russian who'd spent his time as actually a spy, grew up in America, and then went back and then testified against Trump in the impeachment hearings. So,
God, you never have to use it.
Today, we found out late last night that the Supreme Court would not hear the Texas case. It did not have standing.
This was recorded at the Army-Navy game, which was yesterday. So yeah, the Supreme Court completely threw out they wouldn't hear the case at all. Because it's not about standing, it's just about complete nonsense. There's no, one state can't tell another state how to run their elections. That's just not a thing, and it never was, and it never will be.
According to them. Judging by your tweets, you're very disappointed in that. Is it over?
No, it's not over. We keep going, and we're going to continue to go forward. We have numerous local cases where, in some of the states that got rigged and robbed from us. We won every one of them. We won Pennsylvania. We won Michigan. We won Georgia by a lot. We have a Republican governor, that's worse than a Democrat. He's terrible, and he's hurting Kelly and David very badly. The senators that are terrific people. And Wisconsin, as you know, we have a case going on as we speak. I mean, It's actually going on right now.
So you have individual states happening right now.
We're doing individual states.
But on the 14th, they're going to certify.
That's
on the 6th, they transmit. What does that do for your fight?
I don't know. We're going to speed it up as much as we can. But
he doesn't know. They're going to verify Joe Biden. They're going to certify Joe Biden's election. The electors are going to vote tomorrow, and it'll be 306 to whatever. And he doesn't know. He just doesn't. I don't know.
You can only go so fast. They give us very little time. But we caught.
Oh, exciting news, guys. I'll tell you about that in a second.
Them, as you know, it's fraudulent, dropping ballots, doing so many things nobody can even believe it. Dead people voting, and all.
Quick fact check. No dead person has ever voted. It doesn't happen.
Far greater than the number of votes we need. The election was over at 10 o'clock in the evening. I had won. It was 97, 98%. All of the bookies all over the world were saying the election's over. They wouldn't even take.
It's not the media who calls the election. It's the bookies.
Take bets on it.
By the way, the bookies did not say it was 97% for Trump. The bookies, the actual Vegas bookies, were saying at the end of the evening on the 3rd, they were saying about a 63% chance. But everybody knew, like I've been saying for months, like the Washington Post has been saying for months, like Trump was saying, we won't know the winner of the election until perhaps days, months, or in Trump's case, he said years later, which is ridiculous. But that's we all knew this was going to happen.
And then all of a sudden around 11.
Trump did not cover the spread. That's exactly right, David. The spread is above 300,000 now. So
11 o'clock, ballots start getting dropped. You ever see the graph where you go like this and then it goes up to the sky? Tens of thousands.
That's when big counties report in that it goes up to the sky, the graph that goes up to the sky. I mean, it depends on how big the piece of paper is. There's your evidence, people. Look at that. It's up to the sky. Idiot.
Thousands of ballots were being illegally dropped. The machines are the worst. Dominion.
No ballots were illegally dropped.
Nobody even knows who owns it. These machines are.
It's owned by a Canadian corporation. It's got a headquarters in Colorado. That's part of the United States. That President Trump wanted to build a wall around Colorado.
Controlling our country. So it was a rigged election. It was really a sham and a shame.
Hold on just a second. Kevin Lee Daughter's in the studio. Welcome to the At House Studios, Kevin Lee Daughter. What are you doing? Are you trying to read something on a tall shelf?
Christmas wrap.
Oh, she's getting Christmas wrapping paper. Okay, that's allowed. I'll allow it. Let's move on. Do you need help, or are you going to kill yourself on that chair?
No, I got it.
I don't know. That might be the chair with the bad leg.
Good.
I want you to be careful up there. Okay. Did you go by? Oh, she's got. Oh, this. You can't use that wrapping paper. I'll show everybody why.
Because it's faded?
No, because it's frozen.
I get it.
See, she can't use the wrap because it's frozen. The wrapping. Oh, that fits in well. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna use this as my backdrop.
See the decoloration on this? Look at this. From being this.
I'll show them. Here we go. I don't know. Welcome to the live stream. We cover politics and faded wrapping paper. You guys see? Can you tell on the camera? Let's see. Oh, there's so much green in it that this is pretty. I want this, guys. How do I make this happen? Anyway, it's faded there because it was sitting in our storage room or somewhere forever.
In the car.
In the car. Oh, it was sitting in the back of the car. That's right. When we moved, after we had to give up our apartment and move back to Seattle, it sat in our hydrogen car on the back windshield, the back windowsill. And the sun, it doesn't like wrapping paper, apparently. That was a dad joke. Very much a dad joke, Dennis Hunter. Thank you for the acknowledgement. I can't let it go. I can't. All right, enough about the wrapping paper.
When you look at this fight, though, you have 77% of Trump supporters who believe you won the election.
Only 77% of Trump's supporters, his own supporters, believe that he won the election. Only 77%.
According to a Fox poll.
I've heard actually much higher numbers than that.
There's a rally right now in Washington for that. Do you worry about the country being divided as if it goes to inauguration and they still feel that way and you still feel that way?
No, I worry about the country having an illegitimate president. That's what I worry about. A president that lost, and lost badly. This wasn't like a close election.
No hint of irony there. None. Worries about an illegitimate president, but nothing.
You look at Georgia. We won Georgia big. We won Pennsylvania big. We won with.
They lost by 11,500 votes in Georgia. They lost by 81,000 votes in Pennsylvania.
Wisconsin big. We won it big.
But your guys
we won all of
They lost in Wisconsin even bigger.
these states.
But do you think your legal team has proven that?
Well, we never get a chance to prove it because a judge will say, "Well, I'm sorry, you don't have standing." Like, how about me?
So they go to court. It's not. It hasn't all been about standing. Remember, in Nevada, they've had a chance to argue. And they were thrown out because they said that 42,000 people in Nevada voted twice. Well, who was that? We don't know. You don't have a single name. No, we don't. Because you're in court. And if you lie in court, you face sanctions. You can be disbarred. You can be put in jail if you lie to a judge. So, yeah, when it comes to court cases, like Rudy, I'll play you Rudy in a second for those of you who haven't heard.
Texas.
That is right. Fact check from our friend Dennis Hunter. Trump is correct. The election wasn't close. The judges agree.
In all of these states, 18 or 19 altogether.
Wait, did he say? Oh, Texas.
Wisconsin, big. Yeah. We won it big.
But your guys
we won all of these states.
But do you think your legal team has proven that?
Well, we never get a chance to prove it because a judge will say, "Well, I'm sorry, you don't have standing." Like, how about me? Texas and all of these states.
That's his evidence right there. Like, how about me? He thinks the president should be treated differently than everyone else. That because he's the president, he should get his case in the Supreme Court because he's got standing because he's the president. You know, nobody is above the law. He gets his day in court.
18 or 19 altogether, they come in. Think how nice that is, where they actually come in and they...
That is so nice. I mean, it's not about what's right and wrong, legal, illegal. It's about what's nice. So those Republican states, by the way, if you take a map and overlay it with the states that joined into this lawsuit versus, I said not even a lawsuit, it's, well, you can call it a lawsuit for lack of better terms. So a bunch of them joined into this motion. You take that map, you overlay it with the stupid states who, back when Obamacare came in, said like, hey, we don't want our money. We don't want to cover our citizens. We'd like to double pay, please. No expansion of Medicaid here, buddy. Same states. Almost.
Say, we want to support you, sir, because you're important to this country. We want to support you. They go in and they say the states don't have standing and I don't have. I'm president of the United States. I just got 75 million votes. The biggest...
Makes no difference whether you're president or not president. The Supreme Court does not care. Now, if it was the executive branch that had an issue, the Supreme Court might take a look at it because then you're talking about probably original jurisdiction. But in the most part, original jurisdiction is one state against another state, meaning that that's the first court that you can go to because you can't go to any of the state courts because that would be an interested party, theoretically.
Number of votes in the history of our country ever gotten by a sitting president.
Yeah, by the way, when they actually get their day in court, this is Rudy Giuliani, pre-COVID, or could have been affected at the time, arguing in Pennsylvania in court.
Should I apply in this case?
No, the normal scrutiny should apply. If we had alleged fraud, yes, but this is not a fraud case.
But this is not a fraud case. Hey, Seth. Yeah, not a fraud case.
I went from 6
in court when he has to tell the truth or face consequences. Rudy just gives it up. This is not a fraud case. It's not. And every time I post that online, there's some mega idiot who's saying like, "Oh, well, this is taken out of context." Okay, I'll play you the whole thing. Oh, well, anybody can put words together. Well, it's recorded. You can just go to the state of Pennsylvania, go to the lawsuit.
63 million to 75 million, a 12 million vote difference. That's the biggest margin in history. They say
between what he won last time and this time, which is completely irrelevant.
If I got 67, the smartest people in the business.
They were not the smartest people in the business. They were horribly, horribly wrong. Besides, nobody said that. Nobody.
If I got 67 million votes, I couldn't lose. I got 75 million, and they say I lost. I didn't lose. The election was rigged.
By who?
By the Democrats.
By whom?
And actually, interesting, by the Democrats, but by local Democrats, meaning state Democrats. They outsmarted state Republicans. You know what I do?
Well, if they outsmarted the state Republicans, really, they should be in charge.
Do two things.
Okay, so the Democrats rigged the election, the local Democrats, but didn't manage to win any more state legislatures. Not a one. Not a one. They totally rigged the election, but not for themselves. Those super smart, they outsmarted the Republic. Idiot.
I run a country, and we cut taxes, and we did all of the things, regulations, Space Force, all of the things. The VA was taking care of, like 91% approval, all of the things I did.
Yeah, here comes the big news in terms of the spread and Trump not beating the spread. Oh, you know what? It didn't work. Why? Never mind.
I ran a country, and we ran it great. We've done more than any other president. Then I have to...
It did work. Hold on, guys. I'll fix it. This is the big news on the spread and Trump beating the spread. There it is right there, folks. Right below me. It's Christmas below me. 305,345 dead. We did it! We crossed 300, people. Congratulations, USA. The first country to kill more than 300,000 of its citizens with the COVID. Great job, everybody. So here's a little story. I ran into a gentleman named Dan. He's a tennis player. He's a tennis coach. He just got back from South Korea. He's been over there for about a year. And so I asked him, first off, why did you come back? And he said, I didn't want to. He said, as soon as I landed at LAX, he's like, I want to go back. 600 and some deaths compared to 300,000 deaths in the United States. And I said, what's the difference? What? He says, there are two things. It's not political at all. No, there's no argument of like, oh, I'm this party or that party and I'm not going to wear a mask. People listen. They haven't closed any gyms. They haven't had to. Our economy would be chugging along beautifully. South Korea, I think they reached a high unemployment rate of about 9% and it bounced right back. And it's about 3.4% the last time I looked. But they listen. People just listen. It's not about politics. There's no division based on science. It's ridiculous. Anyway, welcome back, Daniel, if you're watching. He's not.
The campaign. We had the greatest campaign in history. We had the biggest crowds.
Jason, people in China are going on vacation right now. I mean, you could literally take trips and go to the temples, etc. People just wear their masks. The numbers in China are way down. And yes, does China lie about figures? Yeah, sure. Why not? But society is functioning over there.
Anyone's ever had. I did 56 rallies where the number of people were incredible. Okay, incredible, record-setting.
I'm not going to fact check that, but I don't think he did 56 rallies. It's possible. But you know what? You don't decide elections with rallies. Sorry.
And then I go home and I watch the television.
Wait, what's going on? YouTube isn't working? Give me a second here, guys. I'll check and see what's going on with the YouTube. There's a bunch of people in YouTube. Is it not doing the chat thing? Hold on. And YouTube. Is it not doing the chat thing? Oh man, this hat is terrible when I turn to the side. I couldn't see it until right now. Let's see, YouTube. Interesting. It's not pushing through. Okay, so so the side chat over there has no YouTube comments. All right, YouTube's doing its thing again. There's nothing I can really do about that. Let's see. Can I? So only, it looks like Twitter's showing up over there and Facebook is as well. Here's what I can do. Okay. So the Periscope stuff is going into YouTube. We did this once before, kids. Let's see. Give me a second here and I'll see if I can make it work again. There we go. That's something. Give me a second here. Oops. No, that's it. And good. I can make this happen. I'm going to take these comments, which is the YouTube chat room, and I'm going to shove them over there. Hold on. I can make this work, and that way everybody's comments will show up. One moment, please. And again, I don't know why this stops working, but it just does, and that's the way it is. And some things will never change. Boop, boop, boop. Give me a second. I will fix this. While I'm fixing it, we might as well watch this.
To see how we're doing. And by 10:30 in the evening, it was over. We won. I got calls from everybody saying, pros, people you know very well, saying congratulations. I say, let's not go so fast. I don't trust these machines, and a lot of bad things happen with these people. And in essentially 5 or 6 states, the local people who run it rigged the election. And tens of thousands. Remember they stopped the counting in the evening? Do you remember Georgia when they said, oh, we had a big flood? We had a pipeline break, a major water pipeline break. It turned out to be a false thing. And everybody, Brian, everybody ran out. They all ran out. Right. And where's the pipeline? Guess what? There was no pipeline. That was the people where they took all of those ballots, all of those Biden ballots, under the table with the black dress, and they took them and they started.
The table with the, last time he called it a table with a black robe, it's a table skirt. There's no table dresses. Who is this man? Come on, people.
Started shoving them into machine. What happened to this country is that we were like a third world.
Oh wait, is YouTube also not showing the Periscope stuff? Okay, Restream. Okay, so I will do this. Hold on. Let's make this work, kids. We're gonna make this work. I want everybody's chat to show up because really, it's about you and how much you appreciate me. I don't know what I just moved there. Give me a second here. Oh, let's keep watching him.
Country, and I do worry about the fact. You know, you asked the question, illegitimate president. That's what I worry about.
There you have it. There's President Trump in part one of his interview with Brian Kilmeade, laying out so many of the reasons people are skeptical about these election results, Rachel.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that Georgia pipeline thing is really something that, you know, if this had been flipped, if this had happened to Joe Biden, this story would be investigated to the very bottom. I mean, you say there's a pipeline that water, you know, that's why they had to stop. And then all of a sudden they go back and look at the work orders and there's
no pipeline. There's a water main is what the original story was. And then some people are saying it was a bathroom. I don't care. It doesn't matter because it didn't really affect anything. The people thought they were supposed to stop counting at 10. Then they got a phone. So they put the ballots away. They sealed them up with the little seals and all the stuff you're supposed to use. They slid them under a table dress. And then they were heading out and they got a phone call. And it's on tape that people who've reviewed the entire tape, including the chief investigator for Georgia, said, no, that's exactly what happened. They got a phone call saying, no, you guys can't stop counting. And they said, but we've been here for X number of hours. Yeah, that's fine, but you have to keep counting. And so they did. And everything was completely legal, and there were observers there. So, all right. Hold on. Let's go to this. Let's make it. We gotta find the next Trump thing here. So give me a second here, and we'll scan through this. That was one half of the interview. There's another half coming up here, and we'll say, here we go. This is probably it. Let's find out. Hold on, guys. It's a mess right now, but I'm cleaning it up. I don't... Come on, go ahead.
Urge the Republican lawmakers...
Watch.
So let's look at this. Let's play this out. If they continue to not have success in the courts, and the 6th that gets certified and transmitted, and the vice president, your Mike Pence, certifies it, would you encourage the Republican lawmakers to stand up and protest then?
Look, I just left Washington to go to the Army-Navy game. There are thousands and thousands of people out there. I had nothing to do with it. I didn't really know they were forming. They're forming.
Oh, no, I'm talking about congressional leaders.
No. I'm just saying the spirit, the liveliness, the whole thing, even the fundraising, the money that's pouring in to fight this. It's one thing to say, you know, you ran a great race. Congratulations. I'm okay with that. But they didn't. They didn't run a good race. They ran a horrible race from the basement. They ran a race where he didn't even run. But what they did is they cheated. They cheated like nobody's ever cheated before that we know of. Now, if you look at it, it's not even 4 or 5 states. It's 5 cities. Milwaukee, right? Detroit, Philadelphia, Atlanta. Take those, Pittsburgh, you could add. So it's 5 cities. It's 4.
Wait, how many did he name?
Stay with that. But they didn't. They didn't run a good race. They ran a horrible race from the basement.
They won.
Ran a race where he didn't even run. But what they did is they cheated. They cheated like nobody's ever cheated before that we know of. Now, if you look at it, it's not even 4 or 5 states. It's 5 cities. Milwaukee, right? Detroit, Philadelphia, Atlanta. Take those, Pittsburgh, you could add. So it's 5 cities. It's 4 cities, it's even 3 cities, because I don't need 5. Just 1 second. They cheated like nobody's ever cheated before, and they got caught, just like the spying on my campaign got caught. They cheated like nobody's cheated before, and they got caught. So nobody can go in and say, oh, congratulations.
Nobody got caught spying on the campaign. Otherwise, somebody would be prosecuted.
On running a good race. They didn't run a good race. They cheated. They dropped hundreds of thousands of ballots.
Right.
They did things that nobody's ever seen, and we caught them.
But your guys have been unable to prove it as of now. If something happens,
excuse me, we've proven it.
They haven't been able to prove it. Oh no, we've proven it.
But no judge has had the courage, including the Supreme Court. I am so disappointed in them. No judge in
all 9 justices, including 3 that he appointed, said this is nonsense.
Including the Supreme Court of the United States, has had the courage to allow it to be heard. The Supreme Court, all they did is say, we don't have standing. So they're saying essentially that the President of the United States and Texas and these other states, great states, they don't have standing. They didn't go into the evidence. If you would look at the evidence, thousands of pages of evidence, we have over 1,000 affidavits from people that saw tens of thousands of ballots.
Gotcha.
Gets good. No, but here's the point. They're winning these things on little technicalities, like a thing called standing. They're saying the President of the United States does not have standing.
Right, so that's what's...
A little thing called standing that is the premise of every single court case ever. Apart from that...
Decided last night. So would you show up at the inauguration? Will you...
I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about...
That's a good question, as Gary in Trumpland pointed out. It's the deep state. Why does Trump keep putting more people into the deep state? Why?
We've done a great job. I got more votes than any president in the history of our country. In the history of our country, right?
That is actually true. Until Biden is president.
Not even close. 75 million. Far more than Obama, far more than anybody. And they say we lost an election. We didn't lose. If I got 10...
But you did, because they counted all those votes and they weren't enough. It's not complicated.
10 million fewer votes, they say I couldn't have lost.
This is...
Just so you understand, they stuffed the... In a sense, it's a modern-day version of stuffing the ballot boxes.
This has also been a historic week. Number one, the vaccine's going to start rolling. What is going to be going through your mind as FedEx, UPS, those flights go to 600 separate sites in all 50 states, a vaccine rolling in? What's going to be going through your mind?
If I wasn't president, according to almost everybody, even the enemy, if I wasn't president, you wouldn't have a vaccine.
The enemy, not people with opinions. The enemy.
For 5 years, okay? I pushed the FDA.
Complete nonsense.
Those flights go to 600 separate sites in all 50 states, a vaccine rolling in. What's going to be going through your mind?
If I wasn't president, according to almost everybody, even the enemy, if I wasn't president, you wouldn't have a vaccine for 5 years, okay?
Pfizer, the first vaccine that's out there that's already being jabbed into people in England and in Canada and Bahrain, several other countries, had nothing to do with the Trump administration. They wanted no part of it. Moderna got their original funding before Operation Warp Speed, which was Trump's initiative to boost production of the vaccine. Operation Warp Speed is good, don't get me wrong, but that funding came of pandemic funding that already existed. That, with or without Trump, we've got ourselves a couple of vaccines right now. That's all there is to it. That's just reality.
I pushed the FDA and companies and everybody else involved like nobody's ever been pushed before, and now you have it rolling out. And
he did not push Pfizer. Pfizer wanted nothing to do with Trump. They got help from it was the German scientists with the mRNA research that created the first vaccine.
Frankly, they could have done it last week. They could have even done it a week sooner, and they heard from me. But this is...
And the belief is, and this is confirmed by the New York Times, CNN, and the Washington Post, is that Trump turned down additional doses of the vaccine. Because, you know, back in July, Trump was saying this whole thing's going to go away, if by miracle. And so when they came to him and said, would you like more vaccines? Trump, who wanted to back Moderna, because Moderna was part of Operation Warp Speed, he decided, no, we don't want that Pfizer stuff. We want this, because this is going to look more like my vaccine. I don't know that for a fact, but that's what makes sense, knowing everything we've ever learned about Trump.
There's been a great, really medical miracle. They call it a medical miracle. And it's going to have a tremendous impact. 95% effective. We have Moderna coming out next week, very soon. We have Johnson & Johnson, a one-shot vaccine coming out. All great companies.
What about an aid package for the American people?
It's moving along.
What could you...
Gary in Trumpland is asking, I'm in healthcare. I also have shingles. I need to know if I can get the vaccine when available. Anyone? That's going to depend on your state. The states decide who gets the vaccine. So that's if you're in the United States. And since you're in Trumpland, I'm guessing you are.
What do you do to get the $900 billion out from
Well, I
Nancy
want to do
Pelosi
it.
and Mitch
I'm
McConnell?
pushing it very hard. And to be honest with you, if the Democrats really...
Yesterday's Wisconsin's hearing, producer Joanna, who's a producer, so I have to listen to her, is suggesting that we look at the Wisconsin's hearings yesterday. If someone's got that link, send it to me in DM or whatever, and maybe we'll take a look at them. I thought after this we would, I was going to get I just need something to drink. I was going to get myself some iced tea, and then we'd cover Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo. I thought we'd look at that for a little while. Yeah, I think I've got the time to do that. But we can look at Wisconsin. I don't know what the Wisconsin hearings are. I didn't hear anything about them yesterday. I mean, after the Supreme Court turned the whole thing down, pretty much everything else is moot. He would have to win individual cases in several states. Keep in mind that they're now 1 in 63, 67, 62. Like, people have lost count. No one's seen anything. No one's ever been able to count that high.
wanted to do the deal, they do the deal. They should do it right now. I want to see checks going for more money than they're talking about going to people.
The Hunter Biden this week has confirmed 2 investigations on him, 1 on Jim Biden. The word is you're disappointed that William Barr knew about this.
So Trump just said he wants a bigger stimulus check going out to everybody. Well, leadership could make that happen. Meanwhile, he's threatening to veto funding for the military because of Section 230.
In the spring.
Well, everybody is. Who isn't disappointed?
Right.
Joe Biden lied on the debate stage. He said there's nothing happening, and Bill Barr should have stepped up. I'll tell you what, say what you want about Robert Mueller. When BuzzFeed put out a phony article, I think it was BuzzFeed, but BuzzFeed put out a phony article, Bob Mueller stepped out and he said that article was a phony, and then it was ultimately proven no collusion.
No, collusion wasn't looked at by the Mueller report. In fact, collusion was all over the Mueller report. There was no conspiracy that could be proven because on page 10 of the Mueller report, you can verify this for yourself, the Trump campaign deleted emails, they encrypted data and communications, and several members pled the Fifth. So conspiracy couldn't be proven. Collusion was absolutely proven. And remember, there were the Senate Intel hearings. We've talked about that before. If anyone would like to see the conclusion of the Senate Intel hearings, let me know. And if I see it in the chat, I'll show it. Otherwise, I've shown it 100 times. Trump enabled Russia. That's all there is to it, to attack our election systematically.
After 2 years, no collusion. But Bob Mueller stood up and he interjected that this article was false. Bill Barr.
I don't remember if that was BuzzFeed or another organization. I don't recall, but that is true. Robert Mueller did put out a statement saying, no, whatever that article was about is not true.
Should have done the same thing.
Jonathan Turley said that he had no choice. That he would have been like James Comey again.
All he had to do is say an investigation's going on. And by the way, I don't want to see anything bad happen to Hunter Biden. Whatever it is the facts. But I don't want to see anything bad happen to Hunter Biden. And I purposely stay out of it. But when you affect an election, Bill Barr, frankly, did the wrong thing. When they are saying things, making statements, and the press is purposely not reporting it, Bill Barr, I know, had an obligation to set the record straight, just like Robert Mueller set the record straight. You know, he set it straight. a very bad thing was said, and it was a false article, a false statement, which, you know, usually they are with the media. But this was a false statement. And Robert Mueller stood up and he said that is a false statement. And that was a great thing. I've got to go. Go get him. Thank you.
That was Brian Kilmeade.
Okay, that was that. Let's take a look. Did somebody send me a link to... I got to make that go away for a second here. Let's see here. Someone... let's see if anybody sent me the link for the YouTube thing that you guys were talking about from Wisconsin. We can take a look there. No, I don't see it in that section. So what we'll do is we will go right to Maria Bartiromo and see what that gives us.
Secretary Azar for Operation Warp Speed, the Senate.
Senator Georgia begins tomorrow. Investigating.
Okay, so we're about to see Senator Ron Johnson here. Ron Johnson and Chuck Grassley put together an 86-page report on the Bidens and found not a single government organization or policy was affected in any way. That's what they found. And that not a single law was violated. And that even if there was some sort of ethics regulation that was violated, it doesn't apply to the vice president. And Biden was the vice president. Yeah, we know. You don't have to confirm that. Judges are jumpy today. It's because they couldn't ring the bell the entire time with the Trump interview, so they were like, come on, we got to... here's Ron Johnson. I'll be right back.
Him for money laundering since 2019. Hunter Biden said in a statement on Wednesday that he takes this matter very seriously, and he is confident the review will find that I handled my affairs legally and appropriately. Senate Homeland Security Committee Chairman Ron Johnson has been investigating the Biden family corruption for over a year. Senator Johnson joins me right now. Senator, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Maria. Merry Christmas.
And to you, Merry Christmas to you, Senator. I want to get to your investigation and what you learned about Hunter Biden coming up. But first, let me show you these pictures, these fresh pictures that we have this morning. Very good news on the vaccine. The vaccine is being rolled out. It is being shipped as we speak out of the Pfizer manufacturing plant and headed to hospitals and the like so that we, in fact, do have a vaccine on the market. This is something, of course, that President Trump told us to expect a long time ago. And you have been leading hearings on why we haven't had more early treatment. You had your second hearing this past Tuesday.
Oh, we need both. First of all, President Trump deserves a lot of credit. Secretary Azar for Operation Warp Speed, the Senate, in providing billions of dollars to produce a vaccine while it was being tested and approved. So now once it's approved, it can start shipping immediately. So that was a brilliant operation from my standpoint, and I hope it is as safe and effective as it certainly seems to be. But even if it is 100% safe, 100% effective, people will still get sick. People will still need to be treated, and that is what we have largely ignored is early treatment. A lot of it was poisoned by the media, poisoned by partisan politics. But the fact that Dr. Corey testified before our committee, his testimony, by the way, has almost 3 million views where he's talking about the success of ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine. There's growing evidence. You have favipiravir, which is the oral version.
So over 3 million views, which is almost 1% of the country, which is not accurate considering that it actually covers the entire planet, YouTube, not just the United States. They could look that up, how many were in the United States. But anyway, 1% of the country talking about how hydroxychloroquine is so effective. And
cheap oral version of remdesivir, if used early, looks like it might work. So we've ignored all these things, and we're still going to need early treatment rather than the NIH guideline, which is basically to send people home alone and fearful and do not give any treatment until you're sick enough to go to the hospital. That's just lacks all compassion.
Senator, let me move on. Another thing that the media poisoned was any conversation about Hunter Biden doing deals with companies across the world because they censored it. Twitter would not run with the story before the election. You've been investigating this for over a year, and I want to get your take on what we know here. You put a press statement out this week basically showing all of the requests that you have put out there for Hunter Biden and his associates. Have you gotten any response, and where are we on that investigation, sir?
We've only got a response from Hunter and Devin's attorney not to cooperate. Nobody else has even responded to us. And that contrasts, I think, sharply with, for example, President Trump's children and his associates that voluntarily...
So they've got the power of subpoena. They could subpoena this information, but they're just not. So, okay.
Submitted to literally hundreds of hours of transcribed interviews that turned over thousands of documents. Didn't require a subpoena in most cases. So, I don't know why Hunter Biden and Devon Archer and their associates, Rob Walker, James Gilliar, why are they, basically hiding in the weeds?
Yeah, let me show a list of some of the deals
the Trump not only fought all the subpoenas, they took it to court.
We've talked about in the past, and these deals include deals with China. And, of course, we've been talking all about how the Chinese Communist Party tries to bribe and blackmail people in the U.S. so that they can approve laws that are positive to China. Are you expecting a potential incoming administration that changes policy against China because of all of these deals that we hear about? We just saw the $1 billion that Hunter had taken from the Bank of China to try to come up with a hedge fund to invest in Chinese companies.
All right, guys, we can keep watching a little bit of this, or we can jump over and look through those Wisconsin hearings, and we can kind of scroll through that and see what that... I've got that up. So we can do that, or we can stay with a little Maria. Who else has she got? She's got... it's not showing me. Let's see. We got Ron Johnson here. Then we got a commercial. Then we got... yeah. Go. Okay, come on. I don't know who that is. Who is that? Oh, that's the AG Pat. That's the Texas AG who's currently under indictment with both state and federal charges. He's looking for a pardon from Trump. He's the Attorney General who took the case to the Supreme Court and lost. Well, didn't even get a day in court because there was no basis to the case. It was absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, let's watch this. I don't trust him right away. Just looking at his still image. Here we go.
The 2020 results in Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton spearheaded the legal effort, and he joins me now. AG Paxton, good to see you this morning. Thanks very much for joining us. What happened?
This was our only chance. Unlike other cases, when you sue another state, when one state sues another, in this case, we ended up with 7 states suing 4. Our only place to go is the U.S. Supreme Court to be heard. So normally we'd be able to go to a district court and have our case heard. In this case, we asked the Supreme Court to hear our case, and we never got that opportunity.
I wonder what your analysis is on this, because the Supreme Court said that you have no standing. What do you read into Texas having no standing to make this case?
I don't know, because if my people are harmed, which I view them as having been harmed.
Okay, so yeah, if you are somehow a victim of something else, you have standing. So you have to prove that somehow the court case affects you. You can't just say, I'm suing Donald Trump because he doesn't support DACA, if you're not a DACA recipient or somehow involved in the life of a DACA recipient. You have to have standing that you are somehow irreparably harmed or just harmed by whatever's going on. That's what standing is. And the Supreme Court looked at it and said, well, first off, one state can't tell another state how to do the elections. Secondly, standing is his people, the people he represents, because he's really what's called parens, Latin version of parent, of the people of, so he's the daddy for the people of Texas, and the Supreme Court just made him their bitch.
By the fact that other states didn't follow their election laws and didn't follow the Constitution, how do I address the fact that my voters are affected by a national election that potentially was not done correctly, where there was fraud and that state law and federal law was not followed? So,
because those laws being not followed are the responsibility of those states, and every one of those states has a Supreme Court. And the courts of the states is where that should be decided. That's why SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States, said, no, this is not our territory at all.
I don't know what else we could have done other than ask the court to at least hear our arguments.
So tell me about that argument, because I know Justice Alito and Thomas wanted to hear it. They thought you had good momentum. Look at everybody who supported you. 18 states with briefs supporting the case. 6 states joined the case. You had support of 126 House Republicans. Make the case right here, AJ.
So, and you're right, we had tremendous momentum, and that was...
So this is kind of funny. 126 House Republicans signed on to the case. They didn't become part of the case, but they filed an amicus brief, just basically saying we support. Amicus brief just means friend of the court. So they signed on as a friendly party to the case, not becoming part of the case, but just saying we agree with this. For no good reason. There was absolutely zero reason. They didn't have to do that, but they also knew this is never going anywhere, so we might as well. And that way, Trump doesn't act against us, because when they get elected again, or need to get elected again in 2 years, they want Trump's support. Because, as we just saw, 32 to 34% of the population is in Trump's court. Not that kind of court.
We filed this Monday at almost midnight, so that was after only 3 or 4 days of the case being filed, and there was tremendous support, and there was tremendous...
Yeah, because the election just happened on Monday, and so they filed Monday at midnight.
Tremendous interest in hearing the answer, hearing the arguments. So our argument was pretty simple. These states are responsible, per the Constitution, the state legislature is responsible for setting up laws as it relates to electing electors. And when those laws are deviated from by local officials, they've violated state law and they've violated the U.S. Constitution. That, in effect, disenfranchises my voters, because we in Texas follow those laws, and now we're subject.
No, you're following Texas laws, see? And the other states, they follow state laws that they made, and that is the governance of the state courts. It's this has never been a question, ever.
Objected to the fact that maybe, in Pennsylvania, for instance, they went from 233,000 mail-in ballots 4 years ago to 2.5 million.
Yeah.
And a lot of those were not signature verified, so we don't know.
None of them were signature verified. You don't need to be signature verified in Pennsylvania. More than a third of the country doesn't require signature verification. Because you've already verified your signatures when you registered to vote and when you requested an absentee ballot if you had to. But the signatures have already... And the best way to disenfranchise voters is to verify the signatures, because signatures change all the time. It happened to me in Washington State.
If any of those ballots were fraudulent, and we can't go back and check.
So the bottom line is you're supposed to check signatures with the signature that the election board has.
Not in Pennsylvania. You don't have to do that in Pennsylvania.
On file, once you separate the ballot from the envelope, then it's really hard to prove. Are you...
Not hard, impossible.
Expecting we're going to be dealing with this issue come January for the Georgia Senate race?
I am concerned.
In Georgia, they do verify signatures. Nothing's changed. They verify the signature twice in Georgia. Actually, so here's how they do it. So you sign up in Georgia, you need to sign for your voter ID. Okay, so to become a voter, to register to vote, you need to sign. If you want to request an absentee ballot, you have to sign. That is compared to the original voter card, which is an electronic system. Then you vote. And when you vote, your mail-in ballot in Georgia is verified against the signature that you used to register for the absentee ballot. Plus, it's verified against your signature that's already in the system when you register to vote. So it's 3 times the verification or 4 times the verification, depending on how you want to look at it. And then your ballot's taken out and put over here, and your envelope is put over there, and they can't be put together ever, because we live in a system where we have a secret ballot. That's democracy.
About that, because now the precedent's been set because of COVID. They relaxed, outside of state law requirements, they relaxed their...
They did not.
A lot of these states relaxed their signature verification. So you're right. When you apply for a mail-in ballot, you have to sign in.
Talking about Georgia specifically, and they've said there was no signature verification in Georgia. There's multiple signature verification in Georgia. That's nonsense.
application. When you fill out the ballot, you have to put it in an envelope, sign that, and they're supposed to verify that those...
Dr. Howard said, I had to sign my mail-in ballot. This is Florida. I had to sign my mail-in ballot 3 different ways because my voter's registration signature is different from my driving license signature is different from my current signature. I don't know why I'm giving you an accent there. So, Dr. Howard, I hope everything worked out for you.
Two signatures match. For some reason, and I don't know why COVID would eliminate that requirement, for some reason, in many counties, in many of these states, they didn't do the signature verification. So now...
Not true. There's absolutely not one example of where that happened.
Going forward, how do we know in Georgia whether we can trust those results either? And those also affect us.
Georgia's done 2 recounts. 2 recounts. By the way, what his lawsuit wanted to do was the people of Texas wanted to take away the legal votes of 20 million Americans in other states. 20 million Americans. And that's why the Supreme Court didn't want to touch it.
Because the U.S. Senate, obviously, if it flips, it affects my state in having an ability to get things done.
So you feel that your constituents were, in fact, harmed. AG, do you have a plan B? What's next in terms of the Trump legal challenge to all of this? We still know that more than 70% of Trump support...
That should not be his business at all. He is the AG for Texas. He is not a representative of Trump.
Voters or voters, and I think it's almost 30% of all voters, think that the election was fraudulent.
Well, I can understand their feeling because, there were certainly lots of examples of fraud. And as I said, we can't even, the genie's out of the bottle. We can't go back and verify whether there was actual fraud in a high percentage of these votes. So going forward, I think the Trump campaign is taking our arguments that we tried to get in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. They are now going to take those, I think, state by state, because I think they are legitimately good constitutional arguments that don't depend on actually proving every little instance of fraud.
Real quick, AG, the Trump administration obviously did a lot at the border. Are you expecting a change in that policy?
Yeah, I'm very concerned. The Trump administration did more for illegal immigration, ending it and protecting our citizens than any other president we've ever had. So, yeah, I am concerned.
All right, AG.
See who else they got going on. I hope Kevin McCarthy's on. Oh, well, Jimmy Jordan. Let's watch a little Jimmy Jordan here.
Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy and Congressman...
we got Kevin McCarthy and Jim Jordan. Okay, let's hang out for a while, guys.
Congressman Jim Jordan.
By the way, if you're just joining us, welcome to the broadcast. This is the live stream. We do this on a fairly frequent basis because crazy things keep happening. We yell and chat truth to power. Up above me, those are the YouTube chat people. If you want to get part of that chat, you can do that. Over there, it's the Twitter and Periscope, and looks like Lizzie Dog's on the Twitch. I think there's another platform over there as well. Anyway, everything ends up on the screen here. Don't click the screen. Just use whatever platform you're watching, and you can chat that way. If you want to support the broadcast, there are the addresses for sending me money. Also, you can become a patron. Go to kevinleefather.com. That is the best thing to do. kevinleefather.com. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy Hanukkah for those of you of the Jewish faith. We have quite a few Jewish folks in the room right now. So happy Hanukkah to you. Rob, thank you very much for the Super Heart. That is another way. That reminds me. Super Heart on Twitter. I'm now tier 1. Again, I was 0 and then I was tier 1. But anyway, Rob just sent 999 Super Hearts. And someday I'm going to figure out what that means. And I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Rob. Because I think if I get like 8 million hearts, I get $1 or something. And I appreciate it. Thank you.
From Ohio, who is now on the ground this morning in Georgia ahead of the Senate runoff races there on January 5th. Congressman Jim Jordan is ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee. He joins me now. Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks very much for joining us. Tell us what you're doing in Georgia.
You bet. Good to be with you. Trying to help 2 great senators stay in the United States Senate so that the Democrats can't undo all the tremendous success President Trump had in his first term. Had 2 events yesterday, great crowds, 3 today, 2 on tomorrow. So a lot of energy here for Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue, 2 senators who are doing great work in the United States Senate. And I think the American people understand what's at stake, and that's why you're seeing the energy that we saw yesterday and will continue to see, I think, today and tomorrow and all the way up to Election Day.
Congressman, 77% of Republicans do not believe that the election was fair. We still haven't seen much accountability from Bill Barr and John Durham on a story that we know took place where they tried to take down a sitting president, take down candidate Donald Trump. Now Stacey Abrams says that she has registered 1 million plus Georgians to vote by mail. We just had a whole conversation.
Not registered. They were already registered for the most part. The 1 million is the number of absentee ballots they've requested, that the Democrats have requested in Georgia. So that's just factually inaccurate.
About vote by mail with AG from Texas, Ken Paxton. Your thoughts on the security of this race?
Well, I'm very concerned, and just think about that figure, 77% of 75 million. That's approaching 60 million Americans. Over a third of the electorate think that this election was not fair, was not done the way it's supposed to be done, was not done the way we expect and always has been done in the United States of America. That is an unhealthy situation, an unhealthy environment for your culture, for your country. And if for no other reason, Maria, we need to get to the bottom of what exactly took place. That's why I'm glad Senator Johnson is having the hearing. I know you had him on earlier, having the hearing this week. Let's figure out what happened here. Let's let the entire process play out because, again, when you have more than a third of the entire electorate, close to 60 million people who think something's not right, you owe it to them, you owe it to the country, you owe it to our future to get to the truth and make sure Americans understand what happened.
Yeah, all of the states have verified. They've certified the election. That's the truth. We're done here. This is from yesterday. This is some folks on Nick Fuentes speaking to the mega crowd yesterday. Hold on. That is super, super loud here, guys. Let me turn that down for you and in my ears. Let's try it again. This is yesterday in Washington, D.C.
In the first Million MAGA March, we promised that if the GOP would not do everything in their power to keep Trump in office, then we would destroy the GOP.
These are Trump's people.
And as we gather here in Washington, D.C. for a second Million MAGA March, we're done making promises. It has to happen now. We are going to destroy the GOP.
Destroy the GOP! 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 Destroy the GOP!
I can't argue with him. Anyway, so we'll see what happens in Atlanta. I keep saying Atlanta. In Georgia, come the election. It'll be interesting. It's fun to watch.
Congressman, I want to ask you about China. The Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe, was on this program last week telling us that his intelligence is showing that China has massive espionage efforts against the United States using blackmail, using bribery, and they're trying to coax sitting congressmen, sitting senators to pass laws that are favorable to China. Enter Eric Swalwell. And what is going on with him being on the Intel Committee? He's on the Intel Committee and literally sleeping with the enemy. I mean, you know, having a relationship with now a woman we know is a Chinese spy.
Yeah.
What's your...
Is Eric Swalwell married? I don't even know. Does anybody know is Eric Swalwell married? I've got a high five ready for him right here. But I need to know if he's married or not, because I'm not going to high five him if he's married, because that's wrong.
Reaction to all of this?
Well, I think my reaction is the reaction the American people have.
Oh, he's married, asshole. Come on, Swalwell, you know better than that.
At the same time that so many of these Democrats were accusing President Trump of working with foreign governments, which we know was not true, which we know was built on this fake dossier and this whole hoax they went through. The same time that all that's going on, turns out their candidate for president, Vice President Biden, was in fact cozying up with...
The whole investigation was not based on the dossier. In fact, Mueller didn't even know what they were talking about when they talked about the dossier. Remember what Mueller, after the report came out, Mueller sat before Congress and they were talking to him about the dossier. He's like, that's not even a thing. And it wasn't. It was used in the FISA application against Carter Page, which was separate from the Trump campaign. Because remember, the Trump campaign fired Carter Page before the FISA investigation even started. So yeah, the dirty dossier was never really used against Trump. It was looked at by the Mueller team, and they rejected it, saying, well, we can't prove any of this stuff. Well, we'll look at it, but it didn't end up in the Mueller report at all.
With foreign governments to enrich their family, and these very people.
In fact, I've searched, you can get the PDF of the report. You can search it. The word dossier only appears in the entire 400 pages of the Mueller report one time, and that's only because it's in a Trump tweet. It was Trump who said the dossier. The dossier itself is never mentioned in the Mueller report. Not once.
People who were making these accusations, not telling us about what Biden was doing, turns out they were cozying up with a Chinese spy. So I think there's some fundamental questions here. First question is, what did the speaker know when she actually put Representative Swalwell on the Intel Committee? She gets all kinds of briefings. She gets briefings I don't get. She gets briefings you don't get, certainly. So what did she know when she made that selection? He went on the committee. Second key question is, why is it that it's always the Democrats who...
It doesn't matter at all what Pelosi knew when. If a spy was part of somebody's campaign, Jim Jordan could have spies in his campaign right now, or as part of his staff. Campaign's really the wrong word. But up until a few days ago, his campaign staff could have contained spies. Yeah, but we don't know that spies are working for us. That's how spies work. It's not like they show up with a T-shirt.
Get defensive briefings. So we know Senator Feinstein got a briefing when there was a relationship that her office had with a Chinese spy. We know Representative Swalwell got a briefing based on what we've learned from the Axios story and other stories this week, but never seems...
Now the press isn't fake. Now we can trust what Axios says.
Republicans get defensive briefings. Republicans get set up. Remember, Maria, it was January 6, 2017, when President Trump goes up to, when Jim Comey goes up to Trump Tower when it's President-elect Trump, and Jim Comey gives him supposedly a defensive briefing, but in essence, it was a setup so they could go leak the fact that they talked to the president about the dossier. So that is another, I think, key distinction that we need to figure out. Why is that always the case? Democrats get these defensive briefings.
Stephanie says, Kevin, you can take the other YouTube side chat off. We're all on Restream again. Thanks, Stephanie.
Briefings. Instead, President Trump gets set up by Jim Comey January 6, 2017, when he talks to him about the dossier.
So Nancy Pelosi getting briefings as Speaker of the House and then making a decision to...
House, Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House.
But Eric Swalwell...
I don't know what accent that is, but I love it. I'm going to start talking like that. Nancy in her house with her designer ice cream.
On the Intel Committee, all the while, the Chinese...
All the while?
Spies are coming and corralling around him, raising money for him to be a member of Congress, and then he gets elected.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, it's why I think we should look into this and understand what Director Ratcliffe told us, who's done a great job as OD and I. Understand how serious this threat is and deal with it. And also, I think it underscores another important fact. This president, President Trump, has stood up to China more than any president in our lifetimes. He understands what the threat was. He understands how serious this threat is. He understands...
John Segreto asks, what was with the religion at the Million Maggot March yesterday? Do you think all the attendees knew they were going to a revival event? Yeah, so the, what was it, the Jericho Summit or whatever it was called? Yeah, that's a whole big, giant group of evangelicals that have been planning this for a while. That's a thing. And they had speakers from all over the country. They had a couple of lovely singers, including Michael Flynn's sister. I'll show that to you in a second.
Not just the espionage, but the theft of intellectual property, the failure of China to adhere to any international trade norms. He understands all those concerns and was willing to stand up to them. And I think the American people appreciate that fact.
I think we should probably take time at this point. If you're just joining the broadcast, we like to start things off with either the national anthem or just saying a silent prayer and not telling anyone we're doing it. And sometimes, as we reach a certain point in the broadcast, we just pass the 1 hour mark. We like to take a little bit of a seventh inning stretch, if you will, and I hope you will. We like to just stand up, stretch our bodies, because we've been sitting still for an hour now, and that's not good for our bodies. Our bodies love to remain in motion, and we should exercise. So if you're at home, go ahead and stand up, have a little bit of stretch, and let's just enjoy a rendition of God Bless America, your seventh inning song, from Michael Flynn's sister, the recently pardoned Michael Flynn's sister, Mary Flynn. Ladies and gentlemen, God Bless America is coming.
God bless
America, land where I stand beside her and guide her through the night, from the knife from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the ocean, the more people are upset by folks kneeling during the national anthem, the more likely it is that they don't know the lyrics to the national anthem. That is Kevin's third law of hypocrisy.
We've been talking about this Hunter Biden situation.
Thank you, Molly, for the Super Hearts. Thank you, Dr. Howard, for telling me about the Super Hearts. Let's see. Can I see those? Yeah, thank you very much, Molly B. I appreciate it. Super Hearts. Super Hearts. Oh, you know what? So John just tweeted Super Hearts or whatever, and that was tier 1, and then Molly did it, and it's tier 0. I think that's your guys' tier, not my tier. I don't... So maybe, Molly, you're at tier 0, but to me, you're making my heart tear up. Because you're not tier 0 to me. You're tier to the sky, Molly. Thank you very much for the Super Hearts. I appreciate it. One day I'm going to look up the Super Hearts and see what that's all about. But I understand it's a good thing, and I appreciate it. Thank you. And I think there's money involved somehow. And if you'd like to send me money, Super Hearts or that, or Super Chart on YouTube. Super Chart. like ABBA or Super Tramp. Super Chart makers. Am I just making that up in my head, or was that a thing in the 80s that you could get on the Super Chart, like the Billboard Super Chart? Was that a thing? If you change your mind, I'm the next in line, and they all feel free. That's me and my lyrics. In the alls feel free. Take a chance on me. If you change your mind, I'm the next in line. In the alls feel free. I figured they're Swedish. They don't know a lot of English. They're just making it up. In the alls feel free. I've looked up this lyric before. To this day, cannot remember what it is. In the alls feel free. Take a chance on me. And now, so we need you guys at home at the bottom. What you're doing behind my singing is take a chance, 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 take a chance. Okay, you guys do that at home. Take a chance, 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 take a chance. Good, keep it going, keep it going. Take a chance. If you change your mind, take a chance. In the next in line, take a chance. And the odds feel free, take a chance on me. Going down, take a chance. See? This works together. I love Zoom. We should put this up. We'll go viral with that. This section right here, this is the $10 million viral video. Billions of hits.
Walk us through what happens on January 6th. This is another date as we...
Good job, Stephanie. Does anybody know what they say there? In the alls feel free? In the alls feel free. Take a chance on me if you need me. This is when, like, a network is watching. And they're like, well, we're going to check out this Heavenly Father guy because he's doing this live stream, and we've heard good things. I don't know. He was just singing ABBA. You think the kids will watch ABBA? Millennials love ABBA. Mamma mia. I'll tell you my ABBA joke. It's not mine, but it was on the Twitters. And since it's Sunday Punday, so you had your Mamma Mia movie, right? Hold on. I have to do some research before telling that joke. But there is a Mamma Mia joke coming.
Approach a potential transition. Tell us how it all happens on January 6th, Congressman.
Maria, this is real simple. Let the process play out. All these Democrats who keep saying, oh, we can't look into this, nothing to see here. Well, 77% of 75 million think there's something to see here, and we owe it to them to let the process play out.
Yeah, shut up. Okay, so here's the Mamma Mia joke. And I love this joke, and it makes me giggle, and it's really stupid. So here it comes. So there are 2 movies already in the Mamma Mia sequence. If you're unfamiliar with the movies, don't watch them. The first one was Mamma Mia, ! The musical. The second one was Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. Because that's part of the song as well. Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, because it's a sequel. They've announced another sequel to complete the trilogy, and it's called Mama Thria. Mama Thria, Here We Go Again. In the Alps feel free. You guys, take a chance on, take a chance, take a chance, take a chance.
Monday, the Electoral College meets. January 6th is when the Congress, joint session of Congress, confirms what the Electoral College vote was.
I got a prediction right now. He will be one of the senators. He will not be a senator. He will be one of the Congress people that objects to the count on the 6th. Jim Jordan stepping up, wasting time. Here's my question. I've done a little bit of research on this, and you know what? I don't even want to talk about it. Are there any Republicans in the room? If you're a Republican in the room, let me know. Because I know how you can win the presidency. But I don't want to mention it to anybody. You guys remember I talked about Texas taking it to the Supreme Court, suing the other states and saying that was one avenue they could go for, and it might work. They just did it wrong because they're idiots. Seriously, guys, the Republicans could have taken this to the Supreme Court. They still can. I'm not going to talk about it on the air. Bernmar, thank you very much. Super Hearts. I appreciate it. So if there's any Republicans in here, let me know. Any Trump supporters, let me know. Otherwise, we'll talk about something that could happen, and we could end up with Mike Pence as president. It's true.
But you can have a debate.
New York Times mentioned what today, Green Room?
If you have one senator, one representative object to certain electors from respective states being seated or being counted, you can have a debate. I think we owe it to the American people to have that debate. We'll see what happens in the hearing that Senator Johnson has scheduled for this week. But what's wrong with letting this process play out? For 4 years, right. The Democrats went after President Trump. Why not let us have a few weeks to let the constitutional process play out so we can get answers for the American people?
Yeah, Congressman, it's great to have you this morning. Thank you so much for being here. We, of course, will be watching the developments.
I don't think Trump resigns and makes Pence president. I don't think that happens. Not a shot in hell. Because that's somehow admitting failure to him. I hope that Trump decides to pardon himself, and that's a win for Republicans. And here's why. We'll talk about this because I want this to happen. All the Republicans should be telling Trump that he needs to pardon himself right now to prevent persecution from the Democrats. He'll buy into it. He'll pardon himself. If he pardons himself, then after he's out of office, the Democrats can convict him or impeach him in the House. Then he can be convicted so that he can never serve again, which serves both parties. The Democrats get to impeach him, get the conviction because they'll just get, all you need is 2 or 3 Republican senators, or actually, no, you need about 13, 14 Republican senators, depending on how Georgia ends up, to convict Trump in the Senate. Then Trump becomes powerless. He can't run again in 2024, and you can get actual Republicans back. Everyone is so pussyfooted right now in the Republican Party because they don't want Trump to lash out against them. This way, you disenfranchise Trump, and you have all you need is a few Republican senators have a little bit of courage, or Republican senators that know they're not going to run again. For example, Jeff Flake in the last election. Until they're ready to retire, the Republicans are not going to shift. This way, Trump can't be president again. A real Republican, including many, many senators like Lindsey Graham. Anyway, it can all be arranged. They should be encouraging Trump right now to pardon himself. I hope it happens. But will Trump pardon himself? Because that's admitting that there's some sort of crime that took place. But this is why I'm saying you have to frame it in the way that, no, the Democrats will come after you. You didn't have collusion. There was no collusion. There was no conspiracy, but the Democrats still went after you. So you got to protect yourself from the evil Democrats because they'll manufacture and fabricate all this evidence. So protect yourself with the pardon. Rob, you're right. That's what I was saying. The pardon is an admission of guilt, basically. But if you say, no, you don't have to, you did nothing wrong. You're the most innocent man that's ever lived, Mr. Trump. Sorry, President Trump. So, sir, you should, and I'm crying for the first time in my life because I'm a big man and I've never cried before, you should pardon yourself so that the Democrats can't make up false allegations and impeach you on that like they did before.
Representative Jim Jordan. Coming up, justice for General Michael Flynn, the former national security advisor.
Do we want to watch Flynn? Because he's pretty much an idiot. Let's go. We'll come back to Flynn if somebody wants to watch Flynn. Let's go to Kevin McCarthy if he's on. That's not him. That's not anybody.
Completely new way to lose weight.
That's Sharon. That's Debbie.
Administration that produced the lowest economic output in U.S. history.
No. What about Kevin McCarthy? No Kevin McCarthy today?
Absentee ballots.
Oh, actually, this is interesting. That's David Perdue. Let's watch a little bit of David Perdue. Thank you very much for the Super Hearts, Michelle. Or I just saw somebody ask Michelle about Super Hearts, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Years to come. That's why we're talking about it now. In the past, absentee ballots have represented 5% of the vote in Georgia. Today, that number is up to 30%. As Stacey Abrams says, she has already amassed 1 million.
Which is completely legal.
In mail-in ballots. A new Trafalgar poll shows a razor-tight race with Senator Kelly Loeffler leading opponent Raphael Warnock by 3 points and Senator David Perdue in a virtual tie with his Democratic challenger Jon Ossoff. Senator Perdue joins me now. Senator, it's good to see you. Thanks very much for being here.
I don't know. John Segreto says, who was doing the stabbing in D.C. yesterday? I don't know. I didn't pay any attention to the after the morning. I'd had enough by the time we got to God Bless America and the knives from above. I didn't even hear about the knives from below until this morning. So if anybody has any information on that, we can do that. We'll check out Aaron Rupar right after that's what we'll do. We're going to watch a little bit of David Perdue, and then we'll see what Aaron Rupar is up to today, and we'll go from there.
Good morning, Maria.
You are in the middle of a 125.
Oh, it was Allison who knifed people yesterday.
Stop bus tour. Tell me what's at stake in Georgia and how things feel to you this morning.
Well, Maria, we're the last line of defense against this radical leftist agenda that the Democrats are trying to perpetrate on America.
So, in other words, Trump lost. That's David Perdue saying that Trump lost. If the Senate is the last line of defense, that means the Democrats won. So, congratulations, David Perdue, for finally admitting that Trump lost the election. Yay, he's a hero.
America. If we win Georgia, it's very simple. We save America. So Kelly and I are splitting up around the state. As you said, we're going from places like Hayhira to Hiawassee, talking to the voters of Georgia to make sure they know what's at stake and to make sure we get this vote out. So regardless of what happened in November, we want to make sure that people get out and vote on our side in January.
There is so much money in this race. Mitch McConnell saying that it could be a $500 million race, and some of the money is coming from out of state. Senator, how's that impacting your chances?
It's fantastic. Money's coming into our state from out of our state. That helps our local economy is the correct answer.
Well, who would believe that you could spend $500 million in 2 Senate seats in one state? But it might happen. But in my general election, I mean, my opponent, just like Kelly Loeffler's opponent, most of their money is coming from out of state, mostly California and New York. You know, and we just resent that to some degree down here because we don't want people from outside the state coming down here and trying to dictate what we're going to do. But this
literally had Sarah Palin at a rally yesterday.
Race now has become a national race. And so this is everybody in the country, Democrats and Republicans, trying to weigh in here to get the majority in the Senate. And it's very simple, Maria. If we keep the majority, we not only hold the line against the Democratic agenda, but we also protect the gains that we made under President Trump over the last 4 years that allowed 6.5 million people to be pulled out of poverty. We don't want to go back to the economic...
We are back. It's worse now. We have 1 in 8 Americans who experiences food shortages. Doesn't have enough to eat on a weekly basis. 1 in 6 Americans right now. Not enough to eat.
Dark side of the Obama...
And the rest of us have all gained like 40 pounds. So really, there's your class divide right there. Ask your scale which side you're on.
Biden administration that produced the lowest economic output in U.S. history.
Well,
That's complete nonsense. That the Biden, the lowest economic output in U.S. history is complete. That's just not even, I can't.
I want to ask you about what you're doing to secure this vote, because once the ballots are separated from the envelopes, it's over. Let's take a short break and then get into that. Also, when we come back, I've got to ask you why you opted out of last Sunday's debate.
Yes. Let's jump ahead here. Yeah.
Not trusting the election. They want to know that Georgia is safe going into this January 5th runoff. What are you doing to protect this vote?
Maria, I've got more at stake here than anybody, and we're doing everything we can with the Secretary of State's office, the Attorney General's office, and in the courts to make sure that what we now know happened potentially in November won't happen in January. So we want people to have the confidence to get out and vote. But whether they do or not, they still have to vote, Maria. We beat them by 2 points in November, even with all this potential intransigence. So if we get our vote.
So we want people to have the confidence to show up and vote. And even if they don't, they still have to vote.
We'll be able to hold the line here in Georgia.
But there's no recourse after the ballots are separated from the envelopes. Are you doing anything to ensure that you're going to match those signatures?
We're in the court right now. We are working with the Attorney General and the State Election Board to try to make sure that what didn't happen in November will happen now, to make sure we get this appropriately dealt with before they separate ballots from envelopes.
And I know you're dealing with the...
It was. Signatures were verified in Georgia. The election's been certified, by the way, by a Republican Secretary of State and a Republican governor. Georgia was fine.
Court to change the rules so that they won't be separated out. You missed the debate.
No. You cannot separate. You have to separate the envelopes from the ballot, because in the United States of America, we have a democracy in which your vote is a secret. You can't not separate the two. No state does that. Wow.
Last week, why?
So if you don't, then somebody could tell for whom you voted, which is completely wrong in our democracy. We hold that sacred.
Why did you skip the debate?
In the general election, we had 2 debates, and my opponent basically lied to the people of Georgia repeatedly. So we decided this time to let him have the microphone and prove to the people of Georgia just what an empty suit he was, and he did just that. He told them he wanted blanket amnesty, he wanted a total lockdown, and when asked how...
You couldn't do that and be there? You had to chicken out? You couldn't have asked them those questions yourself at the debate?
He would help the people of Georgia in the rest of this pandemic. He said, I didn't want to get bogged down in details. So he's the only career politician wannabe that I've ever seen actually have a debate with an empty podium, and the podium won, Maria.
The podium did not win. The polls have not looked favorably upon the fact that this guy chickened out of the debate.
This election and this conversation of China has been front and center. China wants to overtake the United States as the #1 superpower. This is also part of your campaign because your opponent worked for a company that was tied to the Chinese Communist Party.
His ties to China are closer than Biden's or Swalwell's. I mean, for 2 years, he worked with the CCP, Maria, and he hid it from the state of Georgia. He lied about it, got caught, and lied about it again. This is something that's very serious and has only come to light briefly, but I'm very concerned because China's as you point out, one of the #1 challenges we have along with our debt going forward. That's why we have to hold the line here in Georgia. But bottom line is...
Purdue's going to win, by the way. Loeffler has a chance at losing, but Perdue will probably win. And the reason is that Perdue got almost 50% of the vote. He got 49.7% of the vote. Jon Ossoff got 47.9%. And then Shane Hazel, he's a libertarian. Libertarians tend to lean towards the Republicans more than the Democrats. He got 2.3% of the vote. That's the difference. Ossoff would have to take the entire libertarian vote. He's not going to do that.
Ossoff will be nothing but an empty suit for Chuck Schumer as he perpetrates this leftist agenda if he were to get elected.
All right, we'll be watching your.
The reason Biden won Georgia is because Trump was so bad. But we'll see. Maybe some Georgians, some Republicans will not show up to vote because they're upset about Trump and the election and they don't trust things. I don't know. That being said, David Wasserman has been down in Georgia and he has yet to talk to a Republican who says they're not going to vote. Everyone's going to show up for this thing. So it's going to be about Democratic turnout. But how do you find people that didn't vote in the regular election that are going to show up for a runoff when the presidency isn't at stake? It's interesting. Who was telling me? Someone was telling me that the people of Georgia are so sick of the election already because they're getting 30, 40 phone calls a day from people trying to get them out there to vote. Just be glad that you're not living in Georgia right now for a number of reasons. Number one, you'd be living in Georgia.
Campaigning, we know you've got Herschel Walker there. And
all right, let's take a look at Arun Rupar and his Twitter feed. Give me a second. I'll pull that up here. Should be here. It's there. Let's go see what Aaron has for us because he's been covering this nonstop. I feel badly. He's got a new kid, but he's been spending so much time covering this sort of thing. Okay, this is Steve Scalise on Fox News Sunday here.
The president-elect in those 4 states. Do you feel comfortable throwing out millions of votes of your fellow Americans?
Well, no. Hey, producer Joanna, the math says that Jon Ossoff will lose, but if the turnout's high enough, he wins. So, yeah, I'm not, nobody, do we even have anybody in Georgia in the room right now? Vote. I'm not going to make any difference. I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to prove me wrong, people of Georgia. Vote your ass off.
Nobody wants any votes thrown out, Chris, and in fact, that the 70+ million votes that are also at stake for President Trump. Well, no, if you look at the Texas lawsuit, what it was saying is there are some states that didn't follow the laws that were on their books. The Constitution is very clear that it's state legislatures that set the process for having electors.
With all
some
due respect,
Secretary
sir,
of State changed those rules.
The Supreme Court threw that out. They didn't even hear it.
The Supreme Court said they weren't going to take the case. They said Texas didn't have standing. They said Texas didn't have standing. They didn't say they were going to address the merits. Look, the Supreme Court, I think a lot of people know, didn't want to be anywhere near this court. They don't like getting in the middle of disputes between other branches.
The Supreme Court didn't want to be anywhere near this court? That's as loud. Maybe I can pump up the volume here. Hold on. Dance. I'll mess with it, and we'll see if we get louder here. Let's try this.
Of government, and that's just something they've done throughout history.
So bottom line, even though the electors on tomorrow are more than 270 of them are going to say that Joe Biden is the next president of the United States, you're not willing to recognize him as the president-elect, and you're not willing to stop contesting this election.
Well, hold on, Chris. First of all, Joe Biden has been going through a transition that even President Trump supported, while he's also following what the court allows. There are legal challenges allowed. Nobody said back during Bush v. Gore, prior to the Supreme Court finally resolving it, and ultimately there was electors met. There was a swearing in. Nobody disputed that, maybe some on the Democrat side, but you didn't see people asked prior to that to pass judgment before it was fully resolved. Let the legal process play.
You guys couldn't hear him at the beginning. Let's go back to the beginning. The sound is off, the sync is off on this, but we'll go back to the beginning. It's less than 2 minutes.
The president-elect in those 4 states. Do you feel comfortable throwing out millions of votes of your fellow Americans?
Well, nobody wants any votes thrown out, Chris, and in fact, that the 70+ million votes that are also at stake for President Trump.
Yeah, that's a complete lie. They wanted to throw out 20 million votes.
Well, no, if you look at the Texas lawsuit, what it was saying is there are some states that didn't follow the laws that were on their books.
And they want to throw out 20 million votes.
Constitution is very clear that it's state legislatures that set the process for having electors.
With all
some
due respect,
Secretary
sir,
of State changed those rules.
The Supreme Court threw that out. They didn't even hear it.
The Supreme Court said they weren't going to take the case. They said Texas didn't have standing. They said Texas didn't have standing.
Which is throwing it out.
They didn't say they were going to address the merits. Look, the Supreme Court, I think a lot of people know, didn't want to be anywhere near this court. They don't like getting in the middle of disputes between other branches of government. And that's just something they've done throughout history.
So bottom line, even though the electors on tomorrow are more than 270 of them are going to say that Joe Biden is the next president of the United States, you're not willing to recognize him as the president-elect, and you're not willing to stop contesting this election.
Well, hold on, Chris. First of all, Joe Biden has been going through a transition that even President Trump supported, while he's also following what the court allows. There are legal challenges allowed. Nobody said back during Bush v. Gore, prior to the Supreme Court finally resolving it, and ultimately there was electors met, there was a swearing in. Nobody disputed that, maybe some on the Democrat side, but you didn't see people asked prior to that to pass judgment before it was fully resolved. Let the legal process play out. But if you want to restore trust by millions of people who are still very frustrated and angry about what happened, that's why you've got to have this whole system play out. There will be a president sworn in on January 20th. But let's let this legal process play itself out.
All right. Let me switch to another subject. We learned this week that the Justice Department...
Okay, they're switching to another subject, and the fancy cam that I have is not working. Let's go down Aaron's feed here and see what else is going on. Let's see. This is Congressman-elect Bob Good of Virginia starts speaking and immediately proclaims, "This looks like a group of people that gets it. This is a phony pandemic."
Bob Good.
I can't tell you how great it is to look out there and see your faces. This looks like a group of people that gets that this is a phony pandemic. It's a serious virus, but it's a virus. It's not a pandemic. It's great to see your faces. You get it.
This is a serious virus, but it's not a virus?
But it's a virus. It's not a pandemic virus, but it's a virus.
Oh, but it is a virus. It's not a pandemic.
Not a pandemic. It's great to see your faces. You get it. You stand up against tyranny. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for saying no to the insanity. As I said, my name is Bob Good. I just got elected to Congress from some good folks in the 5th District here in Virginia. And I actually believe that my job is to represent the people who sent me here and to stand up for the Constitution.
Bob Good.
Well, thanks for that, Bob Good. What else has Aaron got? Oh, Aaron's got a lot more feed. Let me go here, go down. We saw that. We saw that. We saw that. We've pretty much covered everything this morning. Let's see what our friends at Fox and Friends have to say about the election. We might have seen this
just
already.
feel for the president.
Oh, God, loud. Sorry. Feel for the president. You got to feel for the president.
I see the pain and the frustration. You do everything you're supposed to do. You run the country well. You campaign your heart out while the other guy's in a basement. And then in the end, fraud and shenanigans at the local level, you're robbed. And we've all been robbed, because when the elections don't go well, when there's fraud, when there's these kinds of shenanigans, we all lose.
Yeah, frustrated but remains undeterred. He called it rigged, a sham, a shame, and a couple of times he said he worry about the country having an illegitimate president. And if 77% of Republicans and Trump supporters believe the election was stolen, where do you go from there? And that certainly is the place.
It's completely irrelevant.
We find ourselves right now.
I just feel for the president.
You be quiet. Let's see, Michael Flynn.
The next president, I say 10. Like I say, asked on a scale of 1 to 10, who will be the next president? I say 10, Donald Trump. One of the things, like I...
Scale of 1 to 10, is that how we vote now? Let's see. Okay, we'll go past Cedric. This is something about the virus here. This is
Dr. Hahn, I want to go back to the approval that you talked about at the beginning. When President Trump tweeted at you last Friday, "Get the damn vaccines out now," I know you have said that you were not threatened with being fired, but did Chief of Staff Mark Meadows call you and say, hurry up?
So we have, from the beginning, Martha, said that the only thing that's going to matter in this is the science and data. And of course, we've been asked to speed this process as
not answering the question
much as possible.
So this did
and we
happen
internally
Friday?
have been saying the same thing.
The president has now said he did push you, and it could have been out a week earlier. Is that true?
We do not feel that this could have been out a week earlier. We went through our process. We promised, Martha, the American people, that we would do a thorough review of the application, and that's what we did. We followed our process. Thursday evening, after the VRBAC, after the...
So not answering the question. Let's go see what else is here. Okay. Jake Tapper has...
These individuals care.
Jake Tapper, by the way, has become the rallying cry for the right. Every time they talk about the fake news media, it's Jake Tapper and the fake news media. He's become the boogeyman.
About facts or truth, how much they care about democracy or the principles that make this country great, which is to say, not at all. Since Election Day, we've seen Republican officials at great professional and personal risk refuse to go along with these lies about the election. From CISA head Chris Krebs to Philadelphia Commissioner Al Schmidt and Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, Michigan Board of State Canvassers member Aaron Van Langeveld, members of the Maricopa County, Arizona Board of Supervisors. From local judges all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court, we saw honorable American officials look at these nonsense allegations and kick them to the curb. But not Republicans on Capitol Hill. Now, many Americans hoped that most Republican officials, while they agreed with Trump's policies, did not like the uglier parts of his style, his willingness to lie or smear to achieve his ends. And the cowardly silence of Senate Republicans, most of whom still refuse to acknowledge that President-elect Biden won. Their silence allows that hope to continue, however misguidedly. But President Trump made House Republicans go on the record. He made them stand and be counted, and 126 of them, including Republican leader Kevin McCarthy and Republican whip Steve Scalise, they actually signed their names to this unconservative, undemocratic, un-American, mendacious joke of a lawsuit that would disenfranchise millions of their fellow Americans. These House Republicans raised their hands. They said, sign me up. The hope that most Republicans in the House were better than this, that's been destroyed. For those of us who believe in standards and norms and the U.S. Constitution, we need to thank President Trump for bringing this fact to light.
That is true. By the way, kids, 126 representatives, Republican representatives in Congress signed on to the lawsuit. Again, amicus brief, not actually onto the lawsuit, but they supported the lawsuit officially, should be called a lawsuit, officially, for no apparent purpose other than just to pledge loyalty to the president. 126 of them. The document from the Supreme Court that rejected the lawsuit was 126 words long. Just fitting. Let's see. That's Al Gore. He's going to say something. Okay. We saw Scalise. We saw that already. And a lot of this is retweeting Aaron himself. And that's news about the vaccine. Oh, here's Aaron himself. We never get to see Aaron and the baby.
Oink here and an oink oink here, an oink. E-I-E-I-O. On the farm they had a pig. E-I-E-I-o. Oink here and an oink oink here, an oink there, an oink everywhere, an oink oink McDonald and the farm. E-I-E-I-o.
That's the best content Aaron has ever put up. I approve. Judges? Correct. I think that's about it for today. What's the name of this rap group? Wrong Answers Only. Let's see some of that. This is a pro-Trump rap group. Let's watch for a second.
Hold on. I'm a gun-toting patriot, God-fearing patriot. Bryson, why they mad? Cause I'm really Navy faking it. Free speech advocate, it's on my mind. Hold on. Ain't nobody taking it. Gun-toting, Bible reading, God believing truth. Speaking American, it's magazines and Democrats committing interest. I know they freaking sweet, but you don't know who you dealing with. It's for free thinkers only. You ain't got no membership. They free General Flynn out the cage cause he innocent. Parton Roger Stone cause the world know that he innocent. We need to kick out every single illegal immigrant. Man,
that's pretty cool. Did you see the way they rhymed innocent with innocent? That's rap gold right there. The name of that group, let's see if there's some good answers in here. Oh, I'm disappointed by all these responses. Run RNC, okay? Kung Flu Tang Clan, De La Sold Out. That's good because of De La Soul, for those of you unfamiliar. Okay, here's a good one. Wuhan Clan. So Wu-Tang Clan. Anyway. But here's one. Oh, God. Oh, God. I don't know if I can even read this one out loud. Because of my privilege. Hold on. That's the wrong display. I'm going to do this. Give me a second here. Let's see if I can get the right display to come in. There we go. And I will make it big on the display. This one right here. That's LOL. Let's see what else we got here. De No Soul. Okay. Sellouts with Attitudes. Clever. I can't tell you what that's a parody of. 2.6K. Oh dear. I cannot. See all the pictures here? They're going to be of a certain color. I cannot read that. What else? Here's 2.A. Oh, that's clever. Q-Tang Clan. All right. Wuhan Clan was better. Outcast. Good. Because of Outcast. That's decent. Oh, dear. Just go past this one. Two-Lane Crew. I like that one. MC Sunken and the Sellouts. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so that's enough of that. I don't see any standouts here. Usually Twitter will bump that up to the very top. 6.6K Dem Disenfranchised Boys. Okay. Let's go back here. Back to the main feed. Anybody... any other suggestions here? Hey, Molly B, thank you very much for the Super Hearts. Let me bring up one more time. I want to bring up the chat room so I can go back on it. Oh, here I can on this one. See if anybody else has some suggestions in here. Thank you very much. Public Enema. Grandmaster Trash. These are beautiful, guys. You got to get on this feed. I like the see both of those. That's the content that we have that you guys are capable. That's better than almost anything that we just saw up there. Let's see. Public Enema. White Boys Rapping. No, those are black guys though. Those weren't white guys though. But I like what you got it there. They've got a Billy Joel vibe. Diamonds and Silk and Drag. Okay. Anybody else? Beef. Marcy says beef. I think that was about nachos, not about the band, but I like it. Okay, kids. I think that's about enough for this morning. That was an hour and 44 minutes of your time with Kevinly Father. And I appreciate everybody being here. I appreciate all the Super Hearts. I appreciate anybody who PayPal'd me or Venmo'd me today. Everybody who becomes Patreons, I appreciate you the most. Oh, I got to take my glasses off for the call to action. So go to Patreon. Go to KevinlyFather.com. KevinlyFather.com. You can become a patron there and give me money, or just do that right there. PayPal or Venmo. Christmas is coming up. I've already purchased. I have to buy for my dad, and then a couple of friends. I got to buy gift cards for the relatives. It's tight though this Christmas. It's not going to be an overjoyous Christmas. So we'll work all that out. If anybody has some wonderful gift ideas that I haven't thought of, let me know. And Kevin daughter, there's all kinds of gifts I could buy for her. Kevin Lee's son, I already sent a gift for him. He's tough to buy for too because he's just tough to buy for. Oh, I just realized what I should get for him, but I'm not going to say. Kevin Lee's daughter, I'm not going to say because the trouble is this is all public. Like they could watch this at some point. Anyway, I will update the credits at some point. Otherwise, it's just about lunchtime, and that's what I'm all about. You guys go enjoy your lunch or your breakfast, or if you're in Australia right now, the time zone is, let's see, your Thanksgiving meal in Australia, as I understand it, the way the calendar works. Oh, see, Kevin Lee Brothers in the room, so I can't even talk about, gift cards. You're getting gift cards, Kevin Lee Brother. We just exchanged gift cards. So, and he'll probably win. They'll probably give me a bigger gift card. That, you know what? Just spend that gift card. Save the postage. Because with the USPS the way it is right now, it's not going to get here until Arbor Day anyway. We'll work it all out. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Be good to each other. That's about all the voice I have for today. Here's some closing credits for you. Be nice. Love you too, Kevin Lee Brother.
Kevin, thanks for that.